economy, of course, will play a key role in the presidential election. Joining us now, former Colorado governor and 2020 Democratic presidential candidate John Hickenlooper. Governor, it's great to have you on with us. For people who don't know you, you have a fascinating story. You were a geologist turned co-founder of a brewery, turned mayor of Denver, turned governor of Colorado. I believe a nationally ranked squash player, if I have my stats correct. So we'll put the first question to you that we've put to every candidate who sat across from us on this show. Why do you want to be president of the United States?
You know, I'm running for president because, you know, A, I love this country, but B, I see the country in a crisis. I mean, a monumental crisis, a crisis of division. I don't think we've been this divided probably since the Civil War. And, you know, I look at what I've done in government, what I did in small business. I've been able to bring people together and get stuff done. So whether you're talking about healthcare, you know, Colorado now has almost universal coverage. Whether you're talking about climate change, we got industry to sit down with the environmental community and create the first methane regulations in America. The equivalent of taking 320,000 automobiles a year off the street. Or you look at just the basic economy. We took Colorado from 40th in job creation to the #1 economy in the country the last 2 years. I mean, this is the stuff that we need. We need we need people who can demonstrate that they've gotten stuff done. And I not only know I can beat Donald Trump, but I think I can bring us together on the other side and get back to, you know, accomplishing progress.
As you know, Governor, there are a lot of very well-known senators running for president of the United States. Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Kirsten Gillibrand, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders among them. What advantage do you think a governor has, someone who has run a state from the executive seat, over a senator?
Well, I think, and obviously I'm a little biased, but I think having that executive experience makes all the difference in the world. And so when I was out of work for a couple of years and started the Brew Pub, I created a business from scratch. I put the team together, I made it work. And then when I was mayor, I did the same thing. I brought people together, created a team, and then got all the different groups in the community to work together to make real change. And as a governor for 8 years, I've done the same thing again. We took on the NRA. We got universal background checks passed in a purple state. That record of accomplishment, most of the senators, and again, I know most of them, and they're remarkable people, and I'm always impressed, but they're out there, you know, debating and creating the vision, the dreaming. I can do the dreaming too, but I also get stuff done. I'm a doer.
So, Governor, and you certainly were a doer when it came to business. What you talked about sounds like the American dream as far as business goes, and wow, an advertisement for American capitalism. Are you concerned about some factions of your party embracing socialism?
Well, I think the Democratic Party is a big tent. And that's one of the things I've always loved about the Democratic Party is there are all kinds of ideas. You know, I look at my experiences and where I've tried to make a difference, and it really is getting people together, getting them to lay down their weapons, and then getting stuff done. And the labels, I think most Democrats don't care as much about the labels.
Well, would you call yourself a proud capitalist?
Oh, I don't know. You know, again, the labels, I'm not sure any of them fit. But I do believe that, you know, that ability to look at, you know, climate change and figure out how are we really going to create a sense of urgency and get people together. What we did with methane is one of the worst climate pollutants that there is. And, you know, we're the first state, and so far the only state, to really address it aggressively.
Right. Let me ask you, I'll break it down even more. Do you consider yourself a capitalist?
Well, again, the labels, you know, I'm a small business person, so that part of the system that you would call capitalist, I get it. I understand it. I worked very hard. You know, when you open your own business, you know, when we first signed the lease in lower downtown Denver to build our brew pub, it was $1 per square foot per year. I mean, that is, if you haven't ever signed one of those leases, that rent is almost free. And it reflects how bad and how abandoned that part of the community was. We worked 70, 80, 90 hours a week to build the business, and we worked with the other business owners in Lower Down to help them build their business. Is that capitalism? I guess. I mean, sure. So in that sense of building community, that's one way to do it, one aspect of it. It's not all that it is, right? I served on 42 nonprofit boards and committees in that same 12-year period.
Right. Well, so do you consider yourself a capitalist, and does capitalism work?
Well, I think I don't look at myself with a label. And I certainly think that small business is part of the solution. I think right now, the way capitalism is working in the United States, it's not doing what it once did. It is really not providing security and opportunity for the middle class and for poor people. And I think as a country, we need to step back and look at that and say, how do we get America back to the place it was, where if you worked hard enough, no matter where you started on the economic ladder, you would have a chance to go ahead and create your own version of the American dream?
Governor, so you basically say capitalism is not working for the middle class and the poor. And yet you do oppose Medicaid for all? I mean, and where's your position on that?
Did you say Medicare for all?
Yes.
No, I think what I've said again and again is I believe that health care should be a right, all right? And I believe that we should get to universal coverage. I also think there are, somewhere north of 150 million Americans who get their health care through private insurance, through their business or some other way through private insurance. I don't think we're going to take away that insurance from them or make them go to a whole new system very easily.
So capitalism works in the private sector insurance, but not generally for the public? Well,
I think that there are places where we need to make dramatic changes. There's 70 million people in this country that make less than $75,000 a year. We've got to find a way to get more of the business profits and their tax savings that come down to those workers. And I think, that's a challenge that as a country we've got to accept and work on.
Governor Donny Deutsch, so nice to talk to you. I'm going to pick up kind of the line of questioning where Joe and Susan were, and I'm frightened that you're in a position where it's hard for you to come out and say, I am a capitalist. We are a capitalist society. That's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean we can still have more income equality, but that is my concern, the way your party, my party, is being hijacked, that it's uncomfortable for you to say, I am a proud capitalist.
Well, but the trick here is all these labels have gotten to the point where they divide us from each other.
That's my point.
One way or the other, you become a capitalist, and you're right. People think that's a bad thing. You become a socialist, that's a bad thing. I prefer to say, all right, how do we come together, whatever the label is that you feel most comfortable with, how do we come together and really move the ball down the field? How do we make sure that we are providing more opportunity to people that, started out with more challenges than
Governor, I just wanted to
many
jump
of
in.
us.
Can't we say socialism, is it bad for the Democratic Party to say socialism is a bad thing? That's not who we are?
Well, we have always, when we had Social Security, people used to at some point say that's some form of socialism. There are parts of socialism, parts of capitalism in everything, right? And are we going to try and get everything down to being purely capitalism? If you're purely market driven, right, then you end up with monopolies. You end up with all kinds of problems. So whatever label you choose, we're going to have to find ways to navigate and recognize that this is a system that incorporates aspects of many different economic theories.
All right. Hey, Governor, thank you so much for being with us. I know we hammered just one part of I wanted to ask you about Saudi Arabia. I wanted to ask you about foreign policy. We hope we get another chance to do that. But I just want to say here, for myself and for my family and for everybody on the set, we know how difficult this decision had to be for you and your family, just like anybody who is running for president of the United States to contribute, to give back to their country. And we want to thank you for doing that, like we want to thank every candidate. But again, I know it's a tough decision. Thank you for serving your country, and thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Governor John Hickenlooper. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.